So in my previous 2 videos, I made my first 2 batches of yogurt in my Ultimate Probiotic Yogurt Maker. And with both of those, I started with the probiotic pills to get things started. So those are first batches for the L-reuteri and the L-gaceri. And what you can see I did here is I scooped out 2 tablespoons per serving and froze them so that I have starter for extra batches. And because it's taking me such a long time to digest this properly, my stomach is still acting up a little bit, I have a lot left over. So I have a lot of starter now. So what I decided to do today is get things going with what was left actually of some fresh batch that was still left in the fridge, and that is my starter for this one. And I'm also adding 1 pill of the L-reuteri capsule that I used last time, and you'll see that in the footage here. What I'm not doing is including inulin this time, so we're going to see how it goes. I know that's what Dr. Davis recommends, inulin or potato starch, but neither of those are an option for me. So I'm starting off with the same canned coconut milk and also 1 tablespoon of agar here that I'll be adding in as thickener, and no inulin, as I've said. So first I just mix it in with a little bit of it at room temperature because it prefers that to heat to get started so you don't get any lumps. Now I know a lot of people do recommend that with the canned coconut milk you put it in the fridge and you just scoop out the coconut part of it and leave the water for something else. Unfortunately with these cans you can't do that. I have done that previously with other cans, and even with the cans that these guys used to make, but they don't anymore sadly. And that was handy really, to let the coconut part go hard so you can just scoop it out really easily, but it doesn't let you do that anymore. It all just stays kind of mixed in. So they've found a way to do that. I don't really know how, but anyway, with my first 2 batches, it all came out really well with a little bit of thickener, and I have been able to use agar before for yogurt and not had a problem with it, so I don't think that's an issue. The inulin was a problem for me though. My digestion just did not handle it very well. Even just having 1 little bite a day, I've had to try that for a few days and then take a break because it just wasn't going all that well. And I'm hoping that that is just because of the inulin and not the probiotic, because if it is, then this is going to be much tougher for me to sort out. And yes, I probably do have SIBO, and I've done everything I can to try and get that under control. And my diet, of course, is very, very controlled, being carnivore, ketovore. So there isn't anything for a lot of, those nasty bugs to chew on in there. So I'm just hoping that adding in this probiotic will help it to improve more and more over time. So as you can see there, I used the frother again to help mix it in. And that seems to be really the key to getting it so that even when the batch is done, you don't have a huge amount of excess water. So like what would be the equivalent of whey in a regular dairy batch. There's a little bit afterwards, but mostly it's still mixed in and the consistency is really nice. So I'm really happy with that, and I'm thrilled to be able to use the frother for that. So all I'm doing is measuring it here very carefully to make sure that I get it up to the right temperature, make sure it's boiling but not boiling over like in the last video. So that worked out really well this time. And again, I'm just putting it in a pan of cold water to help it cool down faster, so I'm not sitting and waiting for a long, long time. So that's what I've done here. I'm finding that, especially with just using the 2 cans, I only need 2 regular sized pans of cold water to help it cool off, and then we're good to go, and it really doesn't take long at all. So I really appreciate that. So you can see there, I'm just taking it out, putting some more cold water in, and then you can watch the timer going down and down there. And we want to get this temperature down to 100 again, because we're looking at hoping to cook this at about 100 degrees. That's what Dr. Davis recommends. Now I am going to do 36 hours again. In this book he also does recommend 48 hours, but I think 36 works just fine. And also because I'm doing it differently, I'm not adding in potato starch because I am allergic to potato, so that's not an option. I'm not adding sugar because I am allergic to sugar too. So, and inulin is a problem too, and I haven't found anything else. Honey I'm considering, but Dr. Davis says don't use honey because it's got other stuff in it that could mess with the yogurt and maybe cause some problems. You might have the wrong kind of bacteria and that sort of thing. So I'm really undecided whether I'm going to do honey or not. We will see, but I'm not going to do it for this batch. So there's my starter that did very well in the fridge and tasted very nice. And you can see I'm doing 4 scoops. That's actually 2 tablespoons that I'm putting in there. And there is the probiotic that I'm using. So I'm just grabbing one of these capsules to put in because I just want to make sure I'm getting the absolute most, because there's no way of knowing. I can't measure how many probiotics I'm actually getting in this yogurt. So I just want to make sure that it's topped up, because that's the whole point. These probiotics are not cheap. None of them are really. And I want to make sure that I'm getting the absolute most out of them. So these mixed in really nice when it was just one capsule. That was really easy. And you can see I got a full container this time because I didn't boil it all over. And I am adding sticks in this time. These are like shish kebab sticks. They're super cheap. And because they're fresh, they were floating, so I have to kind of hold them down while I'm putting my yogurt in there. But I am really pleased with how that worked. Basically, I'm just trying to give it a little bit of a distance between the container with the yogurt and the burner underneath. Because I did find that last time it did get a little warmer than I wanted. It wasn't too bad, but it was just a little warmer than I would have liked. So you can see the lid's already got condensation because I'd actually ran the maker ahead of time to make sure it was at the temperature I wanted it at, so that we could just get started right away. So, and then I just, like last time, plug it in and set my temperature down. I think that 99 seems to be the best temperature for what I'm trying to do here, because you can get it up anywhere under about 109 and it should be okay, but 100 is what's recommended. So that's what we're trying to aim for. And it can get a little bit warmer in there, I've noticed. So what I want to make sure is that it's actually right around what I want. So when we're all done here, you can see I am going to go in right away and measure the temperature of the yogurt itself, because the water temperature can be a little bit different than inside the yogurt container. You'll also notice that I'm using old lids here. These have cracks in them and stuff, and that's basically because I don't really like the idea of using a newer lid in there just in case it kind of wrecks it or anything. So these lids I don't really care about. So when I pull them out, I try to keep them as closed as possible, but it seems to have kept it from any condensation or anything, and there was no problem. I didn't have anything go bad in there at all. So I'm just going to stick that in there. I did check it partway through as well. I didn't get a chance to record that, but it actually was at about 104. So it was a little higher than I wanted, but I just kind of left it. And now we're back down to 100, kind of 99, 100 right in there. That is a great spot for it to be. So I was really happy to see that at the end of the 36 hours. So very happy again with how this is working, and I think that those little sticks in the bottom really did the job. So I'm very happy with that. I may find something else that is kind of washable and reusable, but the sticks were really cheap and not a big deal. So out it comes, and of course the first thing I'm going to want to do is taste it and make sure it's fine. Kind of give it a little bit of a smell, and I would have to say the texture is really nice. You can see when I just hold the spoon down here that there is a little bit of water there, but it's not bad. There's not a whole lot left over there, and the water is usable for its own things. And then I give it a little try, and I would say it tastes almost exactly like the first batch, maybe just slightly lighter even, just creamy but very light flavored. So I'm going to call this one a success too, and we'll see how it goes.